Hello and welcome to episode 68 of the XboxEra Podcast. I'm Sika Mechanico and I'm joined as usual by special Nick.
What's going on?
And returning from the depths of the Earthsea and the skies, I should say, above the Earthsea, after a prolonged time in the field, we have Tomas Sala, developer of the Falconeer, joining us once again. Hey, Thomas.
Hey, and it's funky beer.
and to be on topic, what's the beer called? What's the beer called today? Let's get it up on the camera.
It's called Funky Falcon.
He's
Funky
on brand,
Falcon.
ladies and gentlemen. He's on brand.
You should do a marketing deal with them.
Why
It's
not?
a local, how do you call it? It's a local brewery. How do you call it? A microbrewery.
Nice.
It's an IPA. I normally don't drink IPA, but it's the last beer I had in the house.
I have a lot of beer drinking microbrewery or what we call wanky beer fans in real life, and I'm sure they will be Googling that beer and checking it up on their beer apps as we speak.
You should be doing a crossover.
Yeah. But yeah, so here we are. We're back again. It's lovely to have you back on, Thomas. I know that when we last had you on, it was in the run-up to the launch of the Falconeer and the launch indeed of the Xbox Series X and S. And since that time, you've now launched on PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. So you've been busy. Oh, you're about to launch.
He's about to.
August 5th.
Yes.
August 5th.
Oh, so not far away. Not far away.
Oh, wait, look.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Physical copies.
This was already there.
Look at
I've got like
the day one edition. Yeah.
everything now.
Wow.
That's great.
Does it feel good to be? I mean, or is it the end of that development journey? Are you kind of like, yep, I've done everything now, and you're just going to see what the reactions are, and then hope that you're done, or?
Before I said I've got a little Falconeer fatigue, but fatigue is a relative term. So if there's lots of excitement, this is with everything you do. If there's lots of excitement on PlayStation and Switch, and lots of new people, and there's lots of demand, sure, that'll energize me to do some more DLC or some patches, and if anything breaks, definitely beyond that. But I'm looking forward to at least a little break. So I'm gonna. There's no holidays on Corona, but having a few months off, and then want to do some VR experiments with it. So I will still be in it, and most of the ideas I've got for follow-ups, sequels, prequels are in this world. So we won't be seeing the last of the the game world. I think most people enjoyed that. And, it's been called the most. The lore, the world is the most interesting bit about it. Okay, fair enough.
I'll dive in a little deeper.
Now, I know you have to talk to Wired, right? You'll have to talk to Wired, but we've been with you from the start, right? We get the exclusive announcement of your next game, yeah?
Didn't I last time? Did we talk about the sailing game with you guys a little bit? No?
We did talk about.
We'll talk about little. We can talk about some of the ideas that's popping up.
I like it.
Yeah, Xbox. We've been there from the very start. Yeah, you
That's
guys.
right.
Yeah.
It's good.
Before I got famous.
Yeah. You're internet famous now. For a multitude of reasons.
Internet famous. That's the worst.
He's even got the check now. He's got the check on Twitter and everything.
Are you a verified?
I've got the check mark. I'm verified.
Yeah, he's got the check on Twitter.
Wow, I should have worn a shirt. I feel very underdressed. But no, I mean it's great to see that you've had some success, and obviously the game launched, then you came to Game Pass. Now you're coming out imminently on PlayStation and Switch. It must be kind of cool to have reached that many players and see it kind of going out there, and that's all from your head, your design. I mean, if it were me in your shoes, I'd kind of like feel a little bit proud of that, right? You've built that on your own. I mean, I know you've had sound guys come in and do sound bits and other bits and pieces, but it's a pretty big achievement, right?
It is. Well, it's how do you call it? It is a lot to take in. So there's the positive and the negative. It got a BAFTA nomination. I don't know if that's anything, but over here, that's yeah. And it's the moment that came out, I was pretty low actually, because it's gone out on Game Pass, and there've been quite a few people not liking it and stuff. And I always said there's more people liking it than not liking it. But when 500,000 people hit your game, because that's what in May that was the number that on Xbox. You get a lot of fucking feedback.
Yeah, and people aren't nice necessarily all the time with their feedback.
No.
I'm probably understating it.
But there's people that write fantastic. There's one person that wrote. He said, "This game is amazing. I go to bed with this game and I wake up with it. It's like that is the best kind of." And then some other ass said, "This is such a slow, shitty shooter. It should crap itself." It's just once you go scrolling through it, it's the quantity. And there was a little. I put it on Twitter. There was a little fizzle with people, reacting poorly to the fact that it had a mixed cast or sort of a representative. And people say in the user comments, "Man, only 20% of the characters in this game are white. Check this agenda." What fucking agenda, man? That's just. So stuff like that fucking happened. And then it got the BAFTA, so it's a fucking roller coaster, man. That stuff can really get you down on a bad day, and then you get. It's like weird. It's fucking weird.
I don't have a huge amount of experience. I mean, I think Nick, you could probably talk a little bit more about this, right? Because he's the insider. But we, since we launched XboxEra and since we launched the forums, and because of the podcast, we're kind of the faces of it. I read about what people say about either our site or, the work our team do or how our forums are designed. And it is unnerving how easily you can take some random person on the internet's thoughts completely to heart and sit there and chew on it and question everything you've ever done. Even though if you'd never have read that, you would never have thought for a second or doubted yourself. And then suddenly one little comment and you're like, do I need to make a change? Do I need to do this? It's frightening.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's like I said, I didn't have that experience because every game I worked before that was either some work for hire or something to teach people, and the commercial entertainment games all sucked, or it didn't suck, but they didn't sell, which is sort of the same thing. But this is the first time that many people got into it, and that it's. I think you have to learn it, and then the first time you do it, the first launch, I read everything, every fucking. I googled it, I scoured Reddit. I would answer everybody. So I said it sucks. I said, "Oh, why, man? Please tell me why." And I did, I did all of that, and I did it for 8 months, and it did make the game better. You can't do it without that, but it's the personal drain of that is unhealthy.
Yeah.
So and that gives you a little bit fatigue at the end. So there's at some point I think the Cloudpunk guy on Twitter said you're gonna hate it for a bit and then you're gonna love it. I can say you can hate it for a bit and then you're gonna love it and then you're gonna hate it again and then you're gonna love it again. And it's like this time I'm not reading anything. I'm just not reading any of the reviews. I'm just going.
Go relax. Go have a beer.
I'll let someone ping me if there's a bug because that's my responsibility. Everything beyond that. Yeah, sorry, mate. That's
it is what it is.
That's why they say
it is
don't
what
read
it
the
is.
Comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't read
the comments.
It is odd, right? The internet in general is, I think it's pervasive for that kind of thing. Like literally 20 minutes before we all sat down to record this, XboxEra as an entity got tagged in a tweet, and I'm not going to say who put the tweet out or anything, but it was a tweet complaining. Like, this is the thing. I sit here and think when I'm not doing stuff like this, or and I'm sure the same is for you, Thomas. When you're not developing a video game, the last thing you're thinking about is how your PC marketplace is doing, or what your console might be up to right now, or how much it's sold and stuff like that. And this person's just tagged, now explain why there is silence with 0 concrete releases for PlayStation first party after June, biased media. And then they've gone on to tag everyone with a possible slant towards the Xbox, almost as if they're rallying for support. And they've just been dragged, like Tamil Hussein just put, "It's Saturday, go outside and touch some grass." It's like, and then do you know what this guy's response is? "How about you touch a razor?" Like, that is the level of discourse, right? It's bizarre. I will never understand it.
Try make an Xbox launch title and then bringing that to PlayStation. You go
betrayed.
to, so PlayStation tweeted the trailer or the announced trailer and all that stuff. It is. I generally just don't read anything that has 0.5% chance of console wars because it's off. The user Metacritic for the Falconeer is a fucking garbage zone where even people are commenting, "Oh, it's all fucking ponies. Don't believe any of it. And it's all zeros and tens." Where I don't need it. Nobody needs it.
It's so weird.
It's a fucking video game. I worked with Sony first party before I made the Falconeer. I love the guys at Xbox. They gave me a shot. I'll give everybody a fucking hug. Well, if it's allowed and consensual. But it's. It's just video games, they're different fucking flavors. Makes the world go round. Be glad,
Yep. I like
be
chocolate.
very fucking boring if there's only one type of video game maker.
It would be.
That's shit, and it gets really dark really quickly, and people just love to say, they don't have nothing else to say. Just the Falconeer is utter crap, man. Yeah. I heard it was shit. I played it for 5 seconds. It was utter boring shit. And then people just, what are you adding to the conversation? Except, you didn't like it. Fine, say that. I didn't like it. I'm down with that.
Yeah.
But it always has to be this.
Personal.
Oh, what utter garbage! I had one guy said, "Go back to delivering pizzas." What the fuck, man?
Man, and it's interesting, right? And it kind of segues me into.
If that's your world, fine. But it's.
People, but it's interesting in that it segues me to a kind of another topic of conversation, right? Because normally when we start the podcast, and I appreciate for regular listeners, we haven't talked about what we've been playing, but I wanted to use this subject to kind of pivot across because as if you're listening for the first time and you've never heard of the Falconeer, it's a solo developer here. Thomas made a game. It's available on Xbox, on Game Pass, on PlayStation and Switch soon. But it was made by just you. You had some sound people do some music and other bits and pieces, but you did the lion's share of all the development, etc., on your own, no assistance, right?
Yeah.
And I've been playing a lot this week, as I'm sure other people have, The Ascent, which is a 12-man team. So obviously the scale and scope is a little bit different. And last week I think we were playing Death's Door, which was a 2-man team. Again, slightly different scale, scope, very completely different games and genres. But one of the topics of conversation, sort of the XboxEra team have been having, and I think is happening across the wider industry, is how development tools and the abilities of just one person or a small team to make something much larger than they ever could before, because the tools are so much more advanced now, is bringing these small teams to come up to the level of some of these bigger, like, in terms of presentation, in terms of gameplay design. I mean, granted, The Ascent was quite divisive when it released because some of the scores, ours was very, very high. Our reviewer had no problems at all when he played through it. Other people had a myriad of technical issues. Even now, I had some co-op yesterday. I experienced some of the bugs that other people have now complained about. But what do you think, Thomas, from your perspective? Like, do you agree that the tools and the way games are made now mean that the scope and scale that is available to be delivered by smaller developers is a lot broader, than it used to be 10 years ago, for example?
Well, I've given that argument in the past that it is the tool set, but I think that's part of the story. So, yes. And, Omno came out on Game Pass.
That's the other one.
I believe
one solo developer?
That's one guy. Jonas, just one guy, just like me. So there is a tool issue. But, I've been using game engines since 1997. Not dissimilar to what Unity Unreal is now in how it scripts, how it codes. So making games back then, Siberia wasn't a huge, that's a small indie game from pre-Steam days. Wasn't a huge team, but looked, amazing and was developed on one of those wonky old engines. So technology hasn't, we can do, there's a lot less effort, sure. Because I can, procedurally generate cool shit, add some volumetrics, lightning, whatever. There's cool shit around, and there's communities around, so you have a lot more punch to do what you want to do. I think the huge difference is the way the infrastructure around it allows you to multi-platform release.
Yeah.
As and I have Stefan who helps me with all the platform stuff, but that's the only other person that ever touched code on the Falconeer.
Wow.
And he all the stuff like making your cloud safe work and all that shit. I'm not good at any of that. But he's a fucking hero, So if your cloud safe get lost on the Falconeer, don't blame me, blame Stefan. But it always works because he's a fucking god. So there's a tool thing. I think the other thing is that two other trends. So the other thing is there's now a generation of people in games that are experienced in ways we weren't 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Experienced in business, deal making, all that shit. Leaving AAA industry, the Omno guy was an AAA animator, who technical, got into, did all the stuff, wants to make his own game. And people like that, the team that make Biomutant, can be divisive, but for a 13-man team, holy shit, what an achievement! So it's those aren't people that came out of art school or Full Sail game dev, and you just did that. Those people have years of experience making games. So that's another huge trend, is that the market is, the amount of people around making games is bigger. So there's experienced people making interest, and then there's the other people. The thing that's more trends. So another reason is Microsoft, PlayStation in less degree, but definitely Nintendo, definitely Steam, have seen the value of indie games, made a lot of money out of it, are enabling them, are willing to make deals with indie developers. That's a trend that took 10, 15 years to get to that point, but that's huge. You can get paid, you can make deals, get funded, and all that shit. And then there's the trend of people who don't want to make AAA games.
Yeah.
People who just I don't want to work, people like me, I don't want to work in a fucking team. I want to make what I want to make.
Yeah.
I want to be, I want to make fucking art. Come out and say it, I'm one guy, if you turn on the Falconeer, that is my mental fucking landscape you're playing through. There's no corporate, user research has shown they want a giant more in the game. No.
Yeah.
It's something I woke up with. So that is, to me, that's art. That's straight from my brain to your brain. That's something you won't ever get if you hire 300 people to make a game. So that is a different way. And I think people are coming around to saying that's interesting. So 1 or 2 guys, or even up to 5 guys, they can make something which is a work of personal expressive art. And that is interesting to gamers because they also have a role in this, have become much more mature. They have matured as an audience, much more intelligent. They have different, requests of what they consume. They might want to shoot something the other day, might have an emotional moment the other moment. They are much more diverse. They are demanding, or even they are ready to play things which trigger different parts of their brain. Yeah. So that all those are combined with the perfect fucking storm, and you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of people making it where it's not the technology, it's not necessarily visuals. We don't want stunts to be, but they have something. You will log into creators in 5 or 10 years. You will log into my whatever page wherever I'm at, sell my games, because the world Tomas Sala is creating and whatever he's got to say is interesting to you. Yeah. As much as you would enjoy Terry Pratchett novel or an R.R. Martin. Another Game of Thrones book.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think,
and that's a new relationship.
Yeah, it feels like developers, that are out there on their own are the ones that are taking the more interesting risks and making the games that they won't sell 20 million copies, but they will sell to a very hardcore audience that absolutely loves that type of game.
They will sell enough to get by, hopefully. And even that will be a harsh world where there are people at the top and people at the bottom, like, in music or whatever. But it will be a interesting evolution. For me, the auteur, whatever you want to call it, art, whatever vibe that comes with it, is interesting. It will bring highly original stuff and stuff that is connected to a human being. Yeah. Where you go, I like Stephen King books. I love Stephen King. I want to read every fucking Stephen King book. that is, that's now we do that for studios.
Yeah.
I love Remedy games. I want to play every fucking Remedy game, but that will be something with another person who you can see on podcast, and you'll have sort of a different type of relationship with whoever's making your games, not anonymous employee number 26 in Malaysia making assets.
Yeah, I mean it's the most interesting the industry has been in a very, very long time. Like the way
and not just
the
that,
next
though.
5 years is going to shape up is nuts. Go on, Nick.
No, I was just going to say, and the funny thing is the quality, because of the tools and everything we have, the quality of indies, I feel, has like grown exponentially. Like, it's massive. Like, I look at games now that are indies, and you've got the idiots that call them indie trash, whatever. But like a lot of these games, they're games that had they released 10, 15, 20 years ago, they would have been massive games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like just
for sure.
massive.
For sure. That's there is so much, and it's that's fucking amazing.
They are. The quality is unreal.
Yeah, like
the quality is, and it will. You can see if you go on Twitter and watch indie games and young people discover, taking Unreal and making like the most fluent third-person combat system you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Holy shit, it looks amazing with the boss fight. There's hundreds of those indie teams making that stuff, and that's not even the challenge. So technology isn't, or skills is not the challenge. Making an entire fucking world story that engages you and holds you on for at least 4 hours until the return limit on Steam runs out, is that's going to be the challenge.
Yeah.
And I think there's a trap there for indies where they make it so nice, because you can make it like a AAA game, but you won't have the resources to fill an entire game with it.
Yeah.
You make the perfect end boss or the perfect, and this enemy, he bounces around. You have to do that for every fucking enemy.
That's right.
If you start having a game with combat, you'll need 5 to 10 enemies introduced per hour of gameplay.
Yeah.
So there are dead ends there as well.
Yeah, I've noticed that as I've been playing through the Ascent. I've probably played about 20 odd hours of it, and there are things where I'm like, how did this tiny team build a world this dense? Right, because it's just jam packed with detail, and you sit there and you think, wow, 12 people, like, wow, it looks phenomenal. Like little things, like from a graphical perspective, when a taxi drops you off, the smoke effect is like, well, that's one of the best smoke effects I've ever seen in a game ever, and it's an indie game. But then you encounter the other end of it, right? Where, okay, where was their focus? Because if I think about it from a UI or user experience perspective, the text is really small, where they've gone form over function because it looks cool, but they haven't had, the AAA UX guy go, dude, you can't do this. This is a really bad idea. People need subtitles and colorblindness and da 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 da. There's all sorts of those little bugs.
They'll make quirky. I've made quirky mistakes in the Falconeer and scared people off to think, I like this, you're gonna like this, otherwise fuck you. Well, that's not a mentality a AAA studio will have.
Yeah.
So it'll be much more accessible. But I think that's that is, the audience and players will adjust to that, and they will find the interesting bits. And I think the mistake is not to make those giant games or make, be focused so that doesn't happen. And there will be a balance where, indies will get better and say, okay, well, you will be more focused experience, more original, and try to make the grievous playability and usability mistakes to a minimum.
Yeah.
But there's books that are hard to read.
Yeah.
If you're into reading, there's books that are hard to read. And are still amazing, will rock your world once you've read them and be glad you took the effort. But holy shit, the fucking effort.
It's a slog to get through.
Sometimes it is a slog. I don't think games can handle that because it's too easy just to put down the controller. But on some level, it's going to be. I saw this quote last week, and I don't know why it's relevant, but it's from some famous guy who said, "Why do you write poetry?" And he said, "Well, if I start talking to people, I notice they don't listen. But if I start talking to myself, people want to listen in."
That's a great quote.
That's a really smart quote, which also relates to how games can change. If you can, it's like I want to listen what someone's personal monologue. It's a different way of engaging, and it's opposite to Todd Howard. It's not opposite because Todd Howard is right when he said great games are played. They're not made; they are played. But that's we're stretching that up. Because there's games that's all video or all cutscenes, and we still love those.
Yeah.
So there's already being stretching because the narrative is more interesting or whatever.
Yeah.
So stretching it up, and like I said, it doesn't need to be for everybody. There's people going around. Oh, this is not the perfect indie sensation for this winter. Yeah, because this assumption that there is a game, and there are games like Celeste or whatever or Hollow Knight. Everybody will love it. But that necessarily doesn't need to be the case.
Yeah,
the Falconeer
I didn't love Hollow Knight.
And late 90s air combat homage. Who the fuck that? There's only 1 in 10 gamers that like that. 1 in 100. Who cares?
Yeah.
That might be still enough people to make it viable.
Yep. Yeah. It's a fascinating discussion. I could talk about it all day, but in the interests of the audience, because obviously we could talk about games design probably for another 3 hours. So I've been playing a bunch of the Ascent. And that's pretty much all I've been playing, apart from Halo Infinite, but we'll get to that later on in the podcast. But Nick, I know you've been playing some things, but before we jump to you, because as well as the things you've been playing, you got to see some things last week as well on this whole indie subject. So we'll jump to you in a second. But Thomas, now that you've pushed that final gold code over and you're waiting for it to come out and then see the feedback, have you had an opportunity to play any other video game this week?
I played Kingdom Come Deliverance early in the year. Fantastic, amazing. Fucking first 10 hours are a slog, but after that's amazing. Go play that.
Yeah.
Truly amazing, underrated game. But this week I've just been playing Flight Simulator.
I presume on
I've been
PC,
waiting for the
right?
patch to come out so I can run it at Ultra, and it's amazing, man. I'll get my kid up and I say, okay, pick a place. He's 4, so it just points at the world map and we'll just fly there.
Wow.
It's like, it's an insane achievement of tech. I really can appreciate the technology to rent that motherfucker because it's like, holy shit. Every gamer in the world should play Flight Simulator at least once just to go, fuck.
Yeah, I've got a 7-year-old, and I have to admit I downloaded Flight Sim onto my Series S in the front room just because he won't be able to play it, but I'll just send him flying and it'll be fine. So
you'll bounce around. That's how we all learn.
Actually, that's a good idea. I should probably do that. Just put the controller in his hands and just let him fly somewhere. Because you can autopilot it, can't you?
Yeah, you can put all kinds of safeties on that he can't crash or anything, and even then it's just resets. On a Series S, I probably stream it from xCloud, but then you can run it at Ultra.
Oh, God. Yeah, I think I need to install that.
Yeah, you should. You definitely should. So you've been flight simming. I've been ascending. Nick, have you been playing anything?
I've been playing the Ascent as well. It's pretty good. I've always liked those isometric sort of action games. Like, it's sort of, the Ascent kind of reminds me, I mean, I'm already old, but I'm going to age myself a bit further here, but the Ascent kind of reminds me of Loaded on Saturn, on Sega Saturn. It came out on PlayStation 1 as well. It's this sort of top-down twin stick. Obviously there was no sticks, but a twin stick shooter called Loaded. Sort of reminds me of a modern version of that. Yeah, good game. I haven't really had any of the issues I'm hearing about. It's been like just very, very small, minor kind of bugs. That's about it. I've been playing Halo as well, like a lot of people have. Yeah. But in terms of playing, yeah, it's been just really, I think, those two outside of the usuals like Rocket League and Fortnite and stuff like that.
Do you want to know something really embarrassing that I did last night? Really embarrassing. I was playing the Ascent, and this is where I was talking about UI and UX, right? And I messaged Jesse. I was like, hey, you've done this in co-op, right? I want to play with a friend of mine. I want to start from the beginning for him, so I'll join his game, but I can take my character, right? And he was like, yeah, you just pick your character. Da, 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 da. I was like, okay. And I went through the screens and I selected what I thought was the thing to say, yeah, I take my character to the game. And it overwrote my entire save and started me back from 0.
Oh, no.
Right. So, noob of the year moment for me, right? But then, hilariously, and I'm not letting you live it down, Harmonica. I was chatting to him earlier today and I said, I messaged him. I was just like, oh, how are you getting on with it? Did you get past the spider mech? Because he was playing it solo. I was like, oh, I deleted my save last night. He was like, I'm really ashamed to admit it. I just did that 20 minutes ago. I am livid. He did exactly the same thing. So, developers at Neon Giant, the UI is a bit confusing about taking your character into someone else's game because both of us deleted our 20-hour-old save just because we wanted to play with a friend. Whoops.
Have you noticed that it says press any key to start?
Yeah.
It doesn't say press any button. It says press any key. I noticed that straight away. Straight away, I noticed that.
Never mind.
It's just the PC version just sitting there.
It's a key. It's a button.
No, I know. It's funny that because you got to remember, right? Especially if you're a 98% console gamer like I am, you see the word button. You've been seeing the word button for 35 years. Press the start button, press any button, press the A button, button.
Yeah.
So when you see key, it smacks you in the face.
Well, you like, where's the any key? Like, which one has any?
You notice it straight away because you've been seeing the word button on those screens for 35 years. So you notice it when it's a tiny word. But man,
but let me put it. If you do the other way around and put it on Steam with any button, you go, shitty Xbox port. That's
he knows.
Xbox port.
He knows.
Shitty console port. Yeah, it's like can't win it. You try to find text that is sort of neutral. Press anything.
Yeah. Press anything. Yeah.
That makes sense. There you go. That's the new universal language for starting again. Press anything.
I believe you're supposed to actually name it by this official button name and all that stuff.
Oh, are you?
Somewhere in the 600 pages of what you need to do on console, there's a rule of what text you need. And I'm surprised they got to any, because there are rules about language like that on PlayStation and Xbox.
Yeah, there is. There actually is.
Yeah.
I wonder if that gets patched. I'm going to have to keep an eye on when the next patch comes out. If that.
And that's why it shocked me. Because I knew exactly what Thomas was talking about.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be patched out because it's
That's one of the checks. Like, there's all these checks that they're supposed to do. It's like, so if you press the start button, does it actually go to the next menu? Is it called start? Is it called menu?
You have to go from the start. You have to wait for a button for the keyboard input to initialize whatever pad you're using. Then go to the main menu. Which sucked because I made this beautiful transition from the intro cinematic into the main menu, and then
I covered it in my
rule
review.
Set I had to have a pause button. That's why that stupid pause logo screens there, because shit like that happens. Yeah,
I think a lot of developers do the symbol of the button instead, right? So they just say press.
Some of them do
3 lines. Yes, because then
if you're using textures, but fuck them.
Who uses textures when making a game nowadays? Not you.
Yeah, no, you don't need textures.
But yeah, aside from you playing the Ascent, you got to see, as we're on the subject of indie games, you got to see one publisher that specialises in lots of very artistic indie games, and you got to see one that you've been looking forward to for a while last week, right?
Yeah. Got to see. We got invited to the preview event for the Artful Escape. Which again, I mean, it started as a one-man dev game, but Johnny has sort of grown the studio a little bit, and the team's a bit bigger. But it's funny, the whole time Thomas was talking, I had the Artful Escape in my head, because the Artful Escape to me comes across as the epitome of what Thomas was talking about, from his brain straight to the gamer at the end. Like, the Artful Escape, it's like, it's funny. I remember when we first saw it in 2017, that trailer, and everyone was like, what is this? This just looks unbelievable. It's like Ziggy Stardust meets the Yellow Submarine meets, he said himself, a lot of Pink Floyd inspiration. Have you not seen this game at all, Thomas?
I've seen it. I saw it advertised at PAX 2020, the last real event.
Yeah.
PAX East. I thought it looked amazing. Like I said, it's like a Pink Floyd. That prog rock come to life.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of Brutal Legend.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Yeah.
That is so. It looked amazing, and then some of the animations and the stuff with the guitar. I have no idea what the gameplay is, but it looks freaking amazing.
Yeah, well, it's sort of it's funny when they first revealed it. It looked just like a platformer, but there's a lot of narrative to it now. Like it's been fleshed out, and it's sort of like Oxenfree. It's kind of like a bit of it's half point and click adventure, half musical platformer. Unbelievable. And got to know Johnny because Johnny's from Melbourne, where I'm from. He actually doesn't live far away from me. I could probably drive 10 minutes, 15 minutes and catch up with him.
He's got the coolest name.
Like Johnny Galvatron.
Come
Johnny
on.
Galvatron.
That's his real name, Galvatron.
Look, I don't know officially. I'm assuming that's not his real surname.
It's his stage name, maybe.
80s could be.
I'm guessing it's a stage name because he's a rocker. He's in a rock band called the Galvatrons.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. It might be
and his story, his story was fascinating. Like I felt when doing the preview, I felt I had to cover the history of the game and himself, because there's so much to it. Like, he did game development at school, but then after he finished school, his band got a contract deal with Warner Music.
Wow.
And they went on tour around the world for 4 years, and he opened for all these famous bands. And
that's pretty cool.
They had this, unbelievable. And they had this super successful world tour, but he hated it. He hated the touring life. He kept talking about how much he hated it, being around all these smelly guys and this and never being home and blah, blah, blah. He just loves being home. And so after the tour finished, he came home and started making the Artful Escape. It's just evolved and evolved since then, and now it's out in a month, just over a month.
I can't wait to play it.
I'm so looking forward to it. And I'm like, it's no combat. There's no combat involved. There's no high scores. There's no it's just about the experience of the game.
That is a headphones game. That is a headphones game.
Yeah, and the journey you take.
So very Annapurna.
Yes.
It's like, okay, this is the game that will define them. It's like,
yes,
please. It's a rocker. It's that person cross media mix. It's like perfect story.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Because Annapurna picked that up, of course, Annapurna also makes movies and theatre and TV.
Yeah.
So, of course, he was lucky enough to be able to tap into Hollywood voice talent in the end as well, which wasn't there from the start. So Carl Weathers is in it, John Schwartzman, Lena Headey. Who was the other one? God, the name escapes me now. But all these big name actors are in it, and it just, if you haven't, Thomas especially, please check out my preview on the
I will. That sounds amazing.
It's a 10-minute preview. I was worried it wasn't going to be long enough, and it ended up going for 10 minutes. The game looks incredible.
I tell you what,
all those Annapurna games look good though.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching your preview, and I love the fact that you let the music shine on its own for
I had to.
fair amount of time. But
I did the same for Thomas, for the review for Thomas. Like Thomas, the review I did for the Falconeer, I just let the intro play, and I was just like, let the menu screen come up, and like the whole lot, because the audio and the music that Brian, is it Brian?
Benedict for me.
Oh, Benedict. Sorry, I don't know why I had a B name in my head. Sorry, Benedict. The music and the audio that he had in the Falconeer was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and
good.
Music is such an underrated thing in reviews. I love it when reviews pick up on music that's different or scoring that's exceptional.
Yeah, I had to. That's why I let that intro just play. in the review. I just let it play because it was so good, and
I'm gonna watch it for this. And it's you enthusiasmed me. That's
it looks really good,
me,
and I have to admit the music itself, like the dual harmony guitar, really reminded me of and I, judge me all you want. Outside of its obvious influences, that you've already mentioned, it really reminded me of the sequel. Is it Bill and Ted's? I think it's Bogus Journey. The end where with the rock song that they all play and they come on us down, they start playing the guitar and it's all in perfect harmony as they're doing the lick. That's what it reminded me of. And when I watched that film as a kid, like that was the goosebumps moment of that film. It was like, that tune's banging. And when I sit down and play the Artful Escape, I swear to God, it is going to be no one disturb me. I will play it through in one sitting. I will just savor it and just headphones on and everyone leave me alone. I just want to enjoy the music.
Yeah.
It looks
amazing, and all the animation. It's like the marionette puppets, and just it looks. Yeah, I can't wait. I've been looking forward to this game for like 4 years because it's been in development for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, often these things spiral out, right, as that scope creep comes in and the desire to make it just right. But I have to admit, it's not the only Annapurna game that I'm really looking forward to, because obviously we've got 12 minutes coming at the end of August, which I'm pleased that I will be reviewing. Enormously excited because I love my arty-farty games, as I like to call them. And the last one I reviewed for XboxEra was that I would classify as arty-farty was Genesis Noir, which I still wholeheartedly recommend if you haven't played it, because my God, what an experience that was. And it was an experience of art. Like, that's the other game that sprung to mind when Thomas was talking about, putting your brain down onto the screen for the gamer to download and be in that world. Like, that is such a unique game. It's like point and click meets creation of the universe education classes, and and jazz. I loved it. Again, another perfect combination of art, music, sound, and intent. And I'm hoping 12 minutes ticks that kind of thriller. Plus, time travel's cool. So lots of good stuff.
I just love Annapurna's choices, though. Like they seem to be. I don't even know if I can express this properly. They seem to curate the hell out of their choices in terms of what games they pick. Like the sheer variety. Like, they've got Stray, which is for PS4, PS5.
I was going to say, I'm kind of jelly about Stray. Like, I really like
the cat game. Obviously there's more DLC for Outer Wilds. That Solar Ash, that's PS4, PS5 as well. That looks from the makers of Hyper Light Drifter.
Yep.
I want to say. They're making Solar Ash, which looks really good. But yeah, just so much great stuff. And that Neon White from the developer of Donut County.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Just so many cool games.
Yep.
And also Last Stop. They just did Last Stop, didn't they?
Yeah, they did Last Stop, and it's on my to-play list, but I have to admit, reading through and chatting with Sukia Brood, who did the review for us, he praises how they went about like the first 5 hours, but then he was really bitterly disappointed at the final hurdle, which really bums me out. It's like when someone says, "Oh, have you watched Dexter?" And then you go, "Yeah, but didn't I hear that big
you get to the end of Dexter."
He ended up in a log cabin somewhere. It's like, spoiler alert.
That ending was.
Yeah, so it kind of puts
I
me
hope
off.
this new season of Dexter cleans all that up.
God, that's just making money out of you people. That's what it is. But anyway, so that's that. Go on, Thomas. What you been watching while we've been chatting away?
No, just looking at what the games you've been talking about.
Oh,
I don't get out much.
No one does anymore, mate. No one does anymore.
That's why we're all stuck inside playing video games or making them. But yeah, you definitely check those out, Thomas. They're both interesting looking titles.
Yeah, I really want you to see my Artful Escape preview. I want you to tell me what you think of my Artful Escape preview.
I'll get around to playing it. I have a long backlog.
Yeah, I can bet you do over the last few years. Well, have you got something that's at the top of your list to like tackle when you do finally, put the keyboard down and either pick up the gaming keyboard or whatever the phrase may be?
I am on the fence of at some point trying, possibly dipping into Cyberpunk. I had looked into. I was so looking for. I generally, a CD Projekt Red fanboy. They're great people. I've know a few artists there. It's an amazing crew. They've made amazing things. I don't know what went wrong. I don't give a shit. I wish them the best. And I just wanna, I wanna dip in at some point because there's probably a good game underneath there. That's what everybody's saying. I wanna get it.
Yeah.
I just don't know when. So am I doing it now that it's stable, or then there's a next gen patch? I don't give a shit about next gen, but there's going to be free DLC, and I never go back to it. Well, The Witcher is the only game I went back and played the DLC because it was nearly standalone, some of it. But I don't know. I'll probably dive into it also because might get a new video card since we can afford that. And play it.
Yeah, I have to admit, Microsoft were really kind. They gave me a Cyberpunk code the day after launch. Like, they just dropped it through, and I was like, oh, cool, thank you very much. And I played the first 20 minutes, and then I was like, this is a bit broken, and then I stopped, and I was like, I'm going to wait for the next gen patch.
Yeah,
and then it's not coming.
I am waiting, but I love epic RPGs, and there ain't none. There ain't none. So what the fuck am I supposed to play? I don't know.
Have you played Wasteland 3?
No. I've never gotten into the Wasteland series. It's on my list, but
I've heard from an RPG writing perspective, it's up there. Like, it's not AAA, big shiny graphics.
It's big enough studio.
It's meant to be up there.
I might pick. I have got Game Pass Ultimate, so I might pick up Wasteland along the way. But I like production value. I do love AAA, big. Big fucking I love Bethesda stuff and all that stuff. But it's a fucking desert for that at the moment.
Did you see the trailer for Starfield?
Picking up the Mass Effect remasters, and I've already played that. I know the ending.
I've still enjoyed playing through them again. But did you watch the Starfield trailer? Are you looking forward to diving into that?
I'm looking forward to Starfield. Yeah, they spin a good yarn. So it looks interesting. I love the fact that it's still their shitty creation engine, so people mod the fuck out of it. Having spent years in that, that's fantastic. It's just upgrade the shit. Yeah, it works, And it'll be a game again. I'll have 600 mods until my computer crashes. And I haven't had that experience in Skyrim that you have. Oh, I have 2 gigabytes of screen caps because I installed all the mods that made it prettier and then made all the who the fuck gives a shit? But I didn't back then, so I'm looking forward to that.
So you're looking forward to Avowed?
To a what?
Avowed by Obsidian.
Avowed. What? No,
that is their RPG, Skyrim-ish RPG set in the Pillars of Eternity.
Pillars of Eternity.
Is this the game made with George R. Martin writing it?
No, that's Elden Ring.
No. You're thinking of Elden Ring.
Oh, yeah, but this is very action. That's Elden Ring.
Avowed is Obsidian's Skyrim-y type game set in their existing universe that they did for the isometric RPGs, Pillars of Eternity.
Oh, I like Pillars of Eternity. They do good writing on. I'll pick that up.
I think nice. There's a gluttony of RPGs coming.
Just from what you were saying, it sounds like you'd probably like Avowed. It's sort of Pillars of Eternity meets Skyrim.
I enjoyed the Pillars of Eternity quite a lot. In the end, it wasn't really meaty in ways I like it to be meaty. But you get spoiled with Skyrim. So I'll play that probably. I tried to play Outer Worlds. But I don't know why, but for some reason it didn't grab me. The beginning felt very rushed. So you're on a plane. Oh, now you're crashed. Oh, now you're sent back. Oh, now you got your own ship. oh, now you got upgrades in every. I went, oh yeah, well, you're following the trope, doing your best.
Yeah.
But it's not. I could have used a little bit of, set dressing to engage me with it.
Yeah, I think the scope of that one was a little bit smaller than your Skyrims, I suppose, but it didn't outstay
The
its
second one
welcome,
will be
right?
more full on.
Yeah,
But
I'd imagine
it
so.
looked nice. It looked nice, and they're doing another one in that. I'll look forward to playing that, and then I'll read up about it on Wikipedia or watch YouTube.
Yeah, there's lots coming. It has to be said. But one of the big AAA ones, at least Nick and I have been playing this week, and I suppose it's time to get some opinions going because we're going to disagree. Is the Halo Infinite flight? The technical flight started on very late. It came a little bit later than planned on Thursday evening.
They got pummeled.
Yeah.
That website got
It just fell over.
pummeled. Oh man!
But they've launched
It's a good sign though.
Yes, they've launched it. It's a bot test primarily. There is a chance of some more 4v4 socially type games at the end of the flight. But for now, we've been playing against marine
Bots.
difficulties bots, and then they introduced a new map
Brute.
and ODST bots.
And Brute, I think. Is Brute one of the difficulties?
No. You've got marine, ODST, and then next day or next difficulty level that they'll introduce is Spartan. So I'll be back. It looks okay considering it's a technical flight, right? It performs pretty well on my Series X and S. It's a bit wonky on PC for me.
PC.
It does support ultra wide, like super ultra wide, which is really nice. But I think because of that, the performance is a little spotty. But I really love how it plays. And I was right in when I talked about the gameplay previously, in that it looked a little bit like Halo 3 and Halo 5 had a weird baby, in that it's got the kind of the weight and the snappiness behind it as well in terms of movement, but it's the more simplified one-man army feel of Halo 3, which I really missed. Halo 5, everyone could get away too quick, can get into it too quick, and it was frustrating at times, and it was overly complex.
I loved it.
I still love Halo 5, but this does feel very, very nice to play, and I'm surprised at how good the bots are. Like, I can still
the bots are great.
decimate them, but it's nice.
They pose a challenge. Like, if you treat them like bots and treat them with utter disdain, they'll still take you out. Like, they're not stupid. Like, I'm dreading them bringing in the Spartan difficulty bots because I don't know how anyone's going to beat them. Like,
well,
if they get full on.
I don't know. I've probably played like, I don't know, 15 odd games now, and I've averaged at probably around 18 to 20 kills a game out of 50. Like,
Okay.
I play a lot of Halo, right? It was the
I
only,
haven't
it's
done
the only
that.
game I
I've
still
done pretty
claim I'm
well,
good
but I
at.
haven't done that well.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, the ODSTs did make me raise my eyebrows a little bit because the Marines, I kind of rolled over them, but the ODSTs did. When they strafe and they outstrafe your reticule, that's when I was like, okay,
Yeah,
I'll be a bit more reserved instead of a little bit more gung ho. Don't get me wrong, they still get a kill every now and then, but the only thing I've noticed is their opening gambit and pathing is exactly the same. It feels every round. So, like on Live Fire, which is the map set in the training grounds, the first map that was on the first day,
the outdoor map.
Yeah. If you go straight for if you're starting in the base and you go straight for the BR or whatever spawns in that far left weapon box, all four of them will be coming out of the field on spawn. You can get a couple of nades there and maybe get a triple or an overkill pretty much every round on that map. And but sometimes they'll as soon as you poke your head out that door, they will just, and you have to be quite careful how you do it. But it's possible.
They're super accurate.
Yeah.
They're shockingly accurate. Like, seriously, they don't miss. And with the grenades, they just,
Ding.
Oh man, they're pretty good. I'm just wrapped that bots are in Halo.
Yeah.
Like, it should be industry standard that all shooters have bots in multiplayer.
Yeah.
Because not all games last forever.
That's true.
And it seems unfair that I've paid for this game and 50% of the game is multiplayer, but because everyone's moved on, I just can't play this game anymore. and it's like it shouldn't be that way. Like, I can still play Perfect Dark Zero today. I can still play. What?
You're really salty about Killzone Shadowfall not having bots, right?
No, it does.
Oh, it
Killzone
does?
Shadowfall has bots.
Oh, there
That's
you go.
why I still play Killzone Shadowfall, because it has bots. It's how it should be. And I'm glad Call of Duty cottoned on it. Modern Warfare has bots. Like, they are the games I will stick to. If your game has bots, then I will keep playing your game, because that is how it should be.
Yeah, I think the best thing about them is that for people that are brand new to Halo, they are an unintimidating way to go in and learn how to play Halo, like a certain degree. But yeah, I'm super impressed with the flight, and I hope I'm going to be sad when they turn it off, because I have a feeling we won't have another one for like a month or something. Because I'm getting used to just playing Halo again and really enjoying it. So I will be a bit sad when it ends, but we still don't know, right, when the actual game is coming out. Like, we theorize November 15th or around that date, because it's 20-year anniversary of the first game, and that's the only Halo you've ever played, Thomas. Is that right? Is that true?
The first one?
No, I played something on the 360 that looked pretty good. So I played the first one, and then I played one of the single-player campaign. I can't remember what's about, but I played a proper Halo, probably Halo 2 or 3. Well, the one with really good art direction.
Halo 3.
Sort of.
I don't know. Isn't that Halo 4?
It could be Halo 4.
Too late.
Halo 4, for all its flaws, the one area where Halo 4 shone was in its visuals. Like, that should not have been possible on 360 hardware. Like, it looked
could be
unbelievable.
Halo 4, because it looked, probably Halo 4. I remember the very nice greenery on the game. That's Halo 4, I guess. Yeah, so I played Halo 4.
There you go.
I remember going, I have no idea what this story is about. Okay, fine.
Off you go.
Sounds like Halo 4.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Halo 5 was the one where the story
cool.
was...
There's an alien infection. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, pretty much. You just summed up Halo in a sentence.
No. I do enjoy a shooter once in a while. I played some of the new Wolfenstein, which was nice.
Yeah.
Yep, I really like the new Wolfensteins. I'm intrigued to see, because Machine Games now are obviously doing Indiana Jones. And whilst they said, we'll make a Wolfenstein 3 at some point, like, they haven't come out and said anything. We haven't seen anything. You got to wonder if all of that has paused and they've gone over to hammer out Indiana Jones. I'm super intrigued to see.
I am so scared for Indiana Jones. I'm sorry, guys, but I hope they don't turn it into like a Nathan Drake gunning down 80 people, because
that wasn't what Indy was about, right? It's got to be about
Indy was throwing your head at someone and having a whip and doing slow-paced adventuring stuff.
He's going to be a mass murderer by the end of the game. You know it as well as I do.
He's going to kill a lot of Nazis.
That's allowed, though. That's okay. Like, we're all
killing
fine with
Nazis
that.
is okay.
There are articles about that. Sometimes I worry about that. There was it's not for this, but there was this a set of articles a couple of years ago about how the way we treat Nazis and fascism in games has cartoonified and even coolified Nazi visual culture. So Nazi uniforms are now they are the best bad guys, and that's something to achieve.
Aspire to. That's a frightening.
Aspire to. So they made it something aspirational, and they're cartoonish villains. Well, there's never a game that said, so here, kill some Nazis because they gassed 11 million Jews and Gypsies. The games never touch that aspect of actual, real fucking evil. No, we're mutating dogs to be like super soldiers. Oh, yeah, that's something Nazis would do. No, that's probably also... But the killing of all the Jews and the Gypsies and the gays was sort of a thing. So it's a letdown. Whereas being from Europe and the Netherlands, which was an occupied country, there was when I was young, you couldn't even buy model kits of German tanks with swastikas on there. It would just be forbidden, or there would be some rule not to. Because you'd have Wehrmacht tanks, but you never get proper, German stuff. That seems to have gone out of the window to be replaced with, in an Indiana Jones-esque, even though that's a fairly nice portrayal, or how do you call it, decent portrayal, especially in Indiana Jones 3. I'm a bit of a fanboy.
I love Indiana Jones, man, so it's
but in
good.
games we've taken Nazism, you can always kill some Nazis. Okay, yeah, living in a time where people are marching on the streets with shields with swastikas on them, going Sikh. They are, we might need to be a bit more considerate about this.
It's desanitized it.
Yeah,
it's sanitizing it, yes, and it's making it cartoonish, and I think that's a shame. I would like to see a game that tackles that subject head on.
That's the tricky thing, because games inherently are, for the most part, an entertainment product, and as soon as you make it something heavy or touching on that,
you
subject,
don't want to play it anymore. That is.
Yeah, people will just be like, oh, no, that's too heavy for me. Like, I wouldn't say that I would be along those lines, right? Like, it's a silly thing, but I try and watch Schindler's List once a year.
What's the Polish game? No Man's War? That game about refugees living in the rubble?
Little War of Mine. This War of Mine.
No War of Mine. No War. Yeah. So there are ways to tackle these subjects, and I find that super interesting because they bring out games to another level, while retaining what makes it a game. Yeah. I think that's something super that if you can deal that.
It's a tricky line to walk.
And right, there is games are entertainment, but games are also learning. So if you go back to what games are about, it's about, playing is about opening your mind to learn new things. That's why we get excited when we kill the boss. Our brain goes, you just learned something, motherfucker. Let's put some dopamine in it. And it's not about the fucking little reward that pops up in the screen. It's the fact that your brain said you have achieved a thing, you have gotten better at something, and that's fucking addictive. So that is games in itself are much more complex than its entertainment. No, everybody's hooked on becoming increasingly feeling better about themselves because they're getting better at stuff, defeating their friends or whatever. There is so much more depth there than we can imagine. I actually believe that there is so much more we can do just realizing that. And how influential games are, it's getting laughed at in, the movie makers. It's not art or all that bullshit. It is incredibly powerful, and it's more powerful than fucking movies because of that.
It's interesting you say that, right? Like, so I think I mentioned it last podcast, but my wife's grandmother passed away a couple of weeks back. The funeral was week just gone, and my little boy was asking about it. And, he didn't know her particularly well because, it was a very long distance relative. But he was sad for his mum. And he was sitting there, he was talking to me. It was just me and him. We were on our own. The wife was out doing girly shopping with my daughter. And I'd taken the Xbox away from him, right? He had an Xbox at the beginning for Christmas or birthday last year. I can't remember which. And he's had it taken away because he turned into an awful human being because all he wanted to do was talk about gaming. And I'm fine with that secretly, but it got too much for the wife. It was like it's taking over everything he wants to do. It's just about being in front of that screen. So I was like, you know what? Fair enough. He's got the Switch. He can play supervised with me. But we were on our own, so I said, okay. And we were talking about it, and I said, I've got something I want you to play. And I don't know if you've seen it or heard of it, Thomas, but it's called The Last Words, right? And one of our writers, Harmonica, did a review of it earlier this year. It's written by Rhianna Pratchett, and the whole purpose of the story is from a young, 10, 11-year-old girl's point of view, just lost her nan and doesn't know how to cope with it. So it starts off, she's writing a journal. So there's one gameplay design segment where you're in the journal and you just control a character, hops from word to word, can trigger different emotions if they touch different words, pictures will appear, telling a story about, I'm going to keep a journal and I'm going to write a story about this made-up fantasy land, and it stars her gran because she loves her gran so much. And then you'll go into the gameplay sequence of the fantasy world and you'll deal with an emotion. Like, so the start is very hopeful and fun and happy, and then you go back to the real world of the journal because it is a diary, and you start learning, Nan's not very well, she's had a stroke. And my son is playing through it, and he's asking me, like, what does this mean? I was like, well, so they're in the hospital now because the nan's not very well. And then he plays through the bit where the girl is very angry. So she, in the make-believe land, she then travels to in the game, she's fighting against feelings of anger and hate about what's going on, because she doesn't want to believe it. And everyone else seems really downhearted because the parents are being realistic and the little girl doesn't understand. And then when the Gran dies, it gets very, very dark, but it does it in a very educational way. So there's lots of big words, and my little boy was learning. And as he was overcoming these challenges and understanding what was going on, I couldn't help but think from a game design point of view, what an incredible job the team that made it was. I mean, it's not the most visually amazing game. It's not the most deep in terms of systems, but for conveying and educating someone who's going through that loss or has been through that loss, absolutely incredible. And
are you sure it's called The Last Word?
The Lost Words.
Oh, The Lost Words.
Something. I think it's The Lost Words, yeah. But just watching my son then overcome challenges within it and then recognise the emotion behind the challenges. Oh, I just defeated my anger, and I just thought it was incredible to watch him go through that journey over a couple of hours. Like, absolutely astounding piece of game development. So, yeah, there are games out there that can walk the line on semi-serious subjects and produce something that touches you no matter what age you are. So yeah, props to the people that can pull that off, because it ain't easy. That got very heavy.
But it's no, I think that's that's exactly the point. It's a novel approach, using something, and it can be powerful in its own way, in ways movies or TV cannot be. And that is something that is under-recognized, I guess, at the moment. But that won't take long, if you see what virtual reality and stuff is bringing to those kinds of topics. Shit's happening all over the world. But it's an interesting topic, for sure.
It is. But now is the time in our podcast where we get to pause for a moment. And I, first of all, look at Nick and say...
No, I was going to say, we're not going back to Halo.
Well, do you want to go back to Halo?
We went way off Halo.
Well,
you were like... You were primed. This tangent all came from you asking Thomas if he had the last Halo was that he had.
Oh yeah, shit. Go on, we haven't even talked about if it looks nice. Does it look nice?
I think it looks great.
It looks okay. It looks okay. Again, this is the tech test or whatever it is.
And it's the same, the one they did the trailer for a while back.
Yes.
All the trailer footage was, so we haven't seen the proper outdoors yet and stuff like that.
No. Well, we've seen glimpses, but nothing that we would consider this is what it's going to look like when you put it in your machine at home demo yet.
Yeah.
I think it's going to look pretty amazing when it does. Actually.
I agree. I think
I have faith.
But yeah, I know this feels like a game where they are definitely pandering to the old Halo crowd. I was firmly in the new Halo crowd in terms of gameplay and feel.
Mm-hmm.
I love how Halo 5 plays. Absolutely love it. It's to me, Halo 5 is perfection in terms of how it feels, the gunplay, the movement, the inertia, the Halo 5 feels amazing, and then you jump into Infinite, and it's just so much slower. And I was just like, I kept wanting to thrust to just get around the map faster, and I couldn't, and I was like, and it just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm sure I'll get used to it. But apparently thrusters might be in as a piece of equipment.
They are in as a piece of equipment, yeah. I believe that's the case.
I'm going to do some educated guessing here, and fingers crossed. Because 99% of my Halo multiplayer is in SWAT, my hope is that thrusters are just a permanent piece of equipment in SWAT.
Because they help dodging and pulling off some cool plays, yeah?
Yeah, because it's SWAT, so there's no need for all the other equipment. So I'm hoping that and to be fair, like I've found so far, like the shield, that shield that you deploy is worthless. I don't even know why it exists. The grappling hook is great. The grappling hook, like I can see some unbelievable stuff happening with the grappling hook. The guns feel awesome. I do hate that it's the Halo 2 battle rifle. It's the worst one. The Halo 5 battle rifle is the best one. Again, it's that pandering to the old crowd that they're doing again. Yeah, like I said, I'm sure I'll get used to all of it. But I instantly miss those thrusters.
Well, I think from what I understand, the on-foot speed is faster than Halo 5. One big design change that they've made is one of the ways they tried to balance sprint as much as they could in Halo 5 was that your shields would not regenerate until you weren't sprinting. That's gone.
Now they regenerate while you sprint.
They regenerate as soon as you're no longer under fire, right? They wait their set amount of time and then they come up. But sprinting itself is only 10% faster than your normal walking speed.
That's right. That's why I said it feels slow.
Yeah, well, but your overall walking speed is faster than the base walking speed in 5. So it should feel faster.
But in 5, you spend so much time sprinting.
And if you want it to feel faster still, update your FOV and bring it out a little bit and it'll feel even faster.
Yeah, because in Halo 5, I spend so much time sprinting, clambering, and thrusting that it just feels like just super, super fast. And you get... Yeah.
The best thing I can say, this is just my opinion, right? And I appreciate everyone can get super passionate about Halo, for the most part, if you're a Halo fan, right? But what I like the most is that they have... The problem I thought Halo 5 had was there were too many things on the controller. So it led to every game being very, sweaty. And I mean that in the sense that you had to think about a multitude of different approaches to every scenario. Whereas in Halo Infinite, they've simplified that control scheme a lot by removing a lot of the extraneous stuff that I think was just OTT, like charge, ground pound. They've kept sliding.
Yeah, I'm fine with those being gone. Fine with those being gone. That's okay.
And equipment for me means that there's nothing to say that every 3-6 months they might say, hey, we've come up with a new idea for a piece of equipment. Here's something that we didn't get polished up for launch. Boom. And they can just add it in. And it doesn't affect the base game like making a change to, how the player, the abilities the player has from scratch on the fly. It just means that they can add to the game in more unique and creative ways, I think.
I don't know.
And I think as well, they've simplified the sandbox because Halo 5 had a lot of weapon redundancy where, a lot of weapons filled similar functions and just had different ways of doing things, but they all achieved the same result, like the light rifle and the BR and the carbine, whereas now the plasma carbine has a kind of semi-tracking burst shot, takes a lot of shields off super quick, but does naffle damage to your actual armor, you have to switch gun, so it's a good shield stripper. The BR is a bit slower and a bit more methodical in its shots. The pistol is nice and snappy. I really like the balance.
The new pistol's great. The Commando is great.
The Commando is the best gun.
I don't like what they did to the plasma pistol.
Yeah, it takes a lot longer to charge.
No, it's not that. Haven't you noticed? It's got the most horrible tracking on it.
They've dumbed down the tracking so that it's not
ridiculous
my God,
anymore. It never lands. It never lands.
Did you ever play Halo 2? It was horrific.
But I never used it in Halo 2.
Oh man, the noob combo. I could talk about that for hours. Poor Thomas is
I know the noob combo. I didn't use the plasma pistol much in 2, but in Infinite, it almost never hits to the point where why does it exist?
Try single shots. The charge shot's great if you've got a dead on target, but try single shots with it. It's surprisingly, again, effective at stripping down shields as fast as a pistol is at, getting that headshot in.
I was trying the noob combo, so I had the plasma pistol and the regular pistol, and I was trying to go bang, strip their shield in one hit, and then one to the head, and that's it. And it just, you'd see your little charge shot just float right over them, and I'm like, what do you mean? My reticle went red to say I'm locked in, and then it just flew over them. It was just, it was weird. And the Needler is OP as hell.
Don't sleep on the Needler.
like if the bots get a needler and they're close enough, you're gone. Yeah. You are not going to kill them. It's like they are going to take you out. It's yeah. I'm sure I'll get used to it. If thrust is a permanent piece of equipment in SWAT, I'll be happy, because SWAT is where I'm going to be 99% of the time. SWAT is the best. SWAT is that perfect combination of Halo and Call of Duty. It's just perfect. It's so good. And even Frank agrees with me. Frank O'Connor agrees with me that SWAT is the best. It is the best part of Halo multiplayer.
I'm going to say this, even though I risk offending Frankie, but it's the playlist that people that aren't very good at normal Halo play.
Whatever. Anyway. SWAT is the best.
Thomas is
SWAT is so good.
I don't know anything about what you guys are talking about. This is why I kind of skipped over the tangent.
I'm learning a lot. I feel like I'm learning it out. And
we'll have to get you in for some games, Thomas. You can come and join the Doom squad with us. Roll over some noobs, yeah?
I don't do a lot of multiplayer, but when I do get a proper Xbox, it's not a dev kit, I'm interested to do some Sea of Thieves. So, because that looks like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. I would happily take you out on a tour and show you the ropes, Thomas. So definitely give us a shout.
We might do that.
I'm a big fan.
I'll do it live streaming.
Oh yeah, I've got a hat I can wear and everything. Yeah, we did you probably wouldn't have caught it, but we did a community challenge, right? So they let you certain content creators that do Sea of Thieves stuff, they let you have a private server. Then you can invite people in, make them captains of a ship, and then they can invite people in, and then you can have like your own server instance of Sea of Thieves. And we got loaned one for the day. So we had my crew that I normally rock with on a brigantine, so 3 of us, against everyone else on the server. So we put our flag up that tells everyone where we are, and we were like, bring it. And I think we sunk 11 brigantines before we ran out of wood and cannon. Right at the end of the stream, right before we were meant to go live with the podcast, and Nick was like messaging me like, "Where are you?" I was like, "I'm defending my ship's honor right now." It was great, and we'll definitely have to do that again.
Yeah, that game simply looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and looks nice.
It is. It's a gorgeous game. Gorgeous game.
Pretty game.
Speaking of gorgeous things, I want to talk about the gorgeous patrons that support the Xbox Era to allow us to do what we do. Big love to Croat56, Blast the Bass, Nodorius, Notjax, Sowing Shade, The Scarecrow 121, Torn Raptor, Crazy Spaz, VK Andrew, Britt, Keris, Duke Chaos. He's new and I like his name.
Yes,
he's
new. He's new.
Calfquist, Hexa, J Repper, K, Kiroi Senko, Cartoon Soldier, Red Sun, Shadowgasm, Somnia, and Running Riot. Big thank you to you guys for all of your love and support, because it means we get to do this every weekend and lots of other fun, exciting things that are in flight at the moment. Now, Thomas, you might remember from when you were last on the podcast, it is at this point that we throw ourselves to the wolves and we answer our community's questions. They know that you're on, so we have a Patreon.
Yes, we told them you're on.
So I'm intrigued to see what we're going to get asked, because I haven't read them in advance. So brace yourself, because there might be some.
It's a lot of it's about Falconeer, which is good.
That's good.
Okay.
Why are the controls so shit?
Nothing like that. No, nothing like that.
Our community is nice people.
Colbert. Question for Tomas Sala. Now, all right. I don't even know if I'm going to pronounce this, and this must be a European thing as well. With all the sold copies of your game, are you able to give us a Dagobert, Dagobert, Dagobert duck expression live on stream? And then he's got a gif of
what, like diving in the money, like Dagobert?
Yes, Scrooge McDuck. What's
I am not Dagobert.
I've never heard of that name. Is that European?
Dagobert duck is so. That's a really long answer, but I'll get to
Scrooge McDuck.
Disney has its entire IP of Ducktown, which is related to DuckTales, but a little bit older. And there, at least in the Netherlands, there is a weekly magazine for kids, like called Donald Duck, and it features all the Disneys, and they have their Duck McScrooge is called Dagobert Duck.
right.
So, and I know it's in German and the Netherlands. He's called Duck McScrooge. Is called Dagobert Duck.
That's what I figured.
So it's a Duck McScrooge. So basically, he's asking if I'm rich. I'm not rich.
Yeah.
Buy my game, for fuck's sake. No, it's done well. It's done well enough. It's done really well on Game Pass. It's still rolling. It's coming out on Switch and Nintendo. And basically, I am set not for life, not even for a decade, but I'll be set for a couple of years to make another game. And if all goes well, I'll be able to do it in a slightly less anxious and stressed way than I did the Falconeer. So that'll be good. So keep
an eye out on XboxEra because we're going to get the exclusive announcement. We're getting the exclusive announcement of the new game when it's ready.
We'll have to sit down about whatever games comes next.
We're gonna have a meeting with Wired, and we're gonna have a chat with them and say, "Listen, we were with Thomas from the start."
Yeah,
from the start. Yeah,
Thomas will just be there like this, like.
No, it'll be on Twitter. You know me. There's no secret I don't have. I'll go. I made this cool thing, and I'll put it on Twitter like day one. You know, I have a good idea. I'll put it on Twitter, and people can see that.
So okay. So Scrooge McDuck is Dagobert Duck in.
Yeah, Dagobert Duck is Scrooge McDuck.
I'm reading through Keris's question now because this is why he's put on the smoking jacket because Keris asked some very verbose questions. I'm curious how you're gonna.
That's just my wife's robe, and this is a broken vape.
This is just a
smoking jacket. It's like a smoking man.
It's like a velvet thing.
It's like with a cummerbund and stuff. You know, 007.
I am curious how many pronunciations you're going to get wrong in this one because there's a bit of Britishness in here, but we'll soon see.
Is there?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, here we go. All right, hello, Thomas. I don't know what sin you are guilty of to be lumped in with these people.
I think he means.
But I assume it was pretty bad. Games. So my sympathies. Also, I like the Falconeer. 6 thumbs up. I had a whole chafing dish full of chicken Caesar salad. Chaffing. Well, that's how chafing is spelt too.
Yeah, I know. But I believe from a UK perspective, it was like I had a whole chaffing dish of that.
I had a whole chaffing dish full of chicken Caesar salad to myself and way too many rum balls and champagne punch. So tonight's question will be a short one. You wish, peons. We started this morning at 10. That's 10 a.m. for you simple types. We had over 5 kilos of water, 8 Chupa Chups, 2 packs of dextrose tablets, enough packed lunch for 4 people, and a change of clothes for both children. 4 hours later, a scant 5 kilometers, call it 3 for the colonials, and 600 meters higher, we reached our destination, sweating and swearing to never take children on holiday again. So true. Especially since we had to do it all over again and downhill. The journey we took, although mapped and easy, was like nothing else I have had to plan in my adult life. I once organised and ran a 3-day theatre schedule and format change from classical to rock, back to classical the day before the panto get in. That's the pantomime, yes. With the scantest breaks in the cloth store. That was child's play compared to walking up a mountain with kids. I don't recall much of the panto itself except the sound engineer decreeing we should spend every night in the pub drinking. I hope to forget today. Anyway, my question. People are pleased to point the finger of scoff at Death Stranding for being a UPS sim, and fair enough, certainly Kojima cannot handle nuance and women in his games, so it's very tricky to argue against that stance with a yes but. Yes, but Death Stranding's planning and packing and sorting of loads really appealed to me as a stage manager packing a truck or organising a get in and get out, or me as a mother planning a trip up mountain in Austria. It is so much more compelling to me than the usual shooty McBang. Panel. What banal yet interesting things would you like to see explored in games? Truck Sim is amazing, as is Elite and Death Stranding for exploring that pleasingly satisfactory feeling. The digital equivalent to picking a scab. Any better ideas? I am so tired. Wow. Please send help. Also, the yogurt tampons, they did nothing. Go to your GP people for real drugs, Keris. Oh, man.
All right.
Now you see why I wear the robe.
I have 3 kids. We've not yet gone on holiday, so thanks for that visual.
It's not very
I will introduce yogurt tampons. Did I understand that correctly? And see if my wife likes those. I learn something every day. So banal things I'd like to see in games. Well, actually, when she was talking about it's a she's, I don't know.
Yeah, it's Keris. Yeah.
About the packing. One of the ideas I have is called Ancient Waves, which is to take the world of the Falconeer. Here's your little announcement, and make a laid-back sailing game in it. And I might lower the water, and it'd be a prequel in a much nicer time with trees and stuff. So it might be. And then the banal stuff would be like, there would be light combat because, it's that world. But you'd be running a ship, like a fast ship, and some relaxed sailing. And the banal stuff would be like, making sure your cargo is, tight and it's not shifting. So I imagined you go through one of the storms which happen in the Falconeer, and then you see a little insert of the, if you haven't, tied down your cargo. Shit like that would be interesting to me. And then the minutia of having a crew that has an opinion on everything. So it having a lot more personal. So and gossip. It'd be interesting to see, if you can tell a story through the harbor gossip. So you'll be sailing along, and your first mate will go, I heard this story at the horse I was at about the Imperials doing this. So having like a political story from sailor gossip. So that's pretty banal. But that's where I'm at on any future prequels. Is a boring sailing sim running a tall ship with gossip and cargo.
In the world of the Falconeer.
In the world of the Falconeer. Yeah.
There you go. I think that's the exclusive drop you were looking for, then, Nick.
That's our exclusive. That's it. We didn't get a name yet. Can we come
Ancient Waves? Ancient Waves. You can. That's the working title.
Well, there you go. Look at that. See, we got our first game announcement on the podcast. How good's that?
Doesn't even exist yet.
Doesn't even exist, apart from in his brain.
Not even a pitch deck.
You're not going to get in trouble with Wyatt, are you?
No.
Okay. Just nice.
They are nice. They're very nice guys and gals at the Wyatt. I don't know if
next question. A shorter question.
Well, I don't know. I can't think of anything banal that I would like to be explored in games, mostly because I play games to escape the banal. So
yeah, but sometimes that stuff's good. Like
something like the spitting contest in Monkey Island. That's banal.
Yeah. Power Washer Simulator. That's
my interest. Someone recommended
Power Washer Simulator. Yeah. Everybody's gonna love that. Euro Truck Simulator, fucking epic, man. If you ever played Elite Dangerous, it's all that.
Yeah.
It's the only fun thing about it. Just fly to do nothing. Go pick up your iPad and watch some Netflix while you're flying around.
To be fair, Sea of Thieves is, apart from the moments of action, it is all incredibly banal. So yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I do like the banal. That word starts to sound weird after a while. The more you say it.
The banal is it's horse riding through Red Redemption, and just watching the scenery.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I don't mind stuff like that. Even just driving around. Like, the best part of Forza Horizon to me is just randomly driving around and checking out the scenery.
I saw that new Forza Horizon trailer, and I haven't played any Forza Horizon. I was like, holy shit!
Unbelievable!
Yeah,
that is. I think whatever technical art awards are going out, Microsoft will need to win a bunch of those because they've got some things that are next gen with regards to what we're already used to.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
And the way they introduced it was brilliant. Like, you just saw a shot of scenery and you're like, oh yeah, them demonstrating the area of Mexico they went to show us how they filmed it for the game, blah, 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 blah. And then the car just comes in and like the game just takes off and you're like...
It was good. It was the one that stuck with me from all the showcase. I really enjoyed the Horizon.
They're really good at what they do.
Yeah. That looked unbelievable. Okay. Next question. Now this one's a weird one. I don't know how we're going to answer this question. Dirty Flint. Hello, panel. This question is for Thomas. If you had to say the Falconeer was a colour, what color would it be?
Blue.
There you
There you
go.
go.
There's your answer.
Not as tough as I thought.
It's
Blue.
got the best blue around. It's blue.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Blue dabba doo dabba dow. Blue.
It's actually one of the parts. It's actually one of the parts I like the best about Falconeer too. I love the moments just flying around,
Yeah.
and that's it.
It's
Doing
when
nothing else.
it's when
Just
you see
flying
the
around.
bird's wings.
Yeah,
just-
on its own. It just starts.
Yeah.
The bird just starts bobbing around by itself. And you
I
just
saw a
get stopped.
Nintendo Switch preview said yes. When the bird is left alone, you get this horrible Joy-Con drift.
Yeah. Yes.
I go,
Whoops.
oh
For
shit!
2 seconds.
I'm
For
so
2
fucked.
seconds when I first played it, I thought that's what was happening. I sort of let go and I forgot that I wasn't doing anything and I was letting the bird just fly. And all
I
of a
improved
sudden,
it somewhere in January to be a little bit less repetitive. It's a lot better now. It looks more like.
I
this
liked
is
it.
just fine.
I thought it was good. I think I
Yeah, you
said to
can't-
you even. I reckon I actually said to you, I wish there was a mode that was just like no combat, no nothing. You just
Yeah, the Zen mode.
fly. You just fly.
Yeah, people
and
want the
that's it.
Zen mode. Well, that's why I'm making the sailing mode. It's got to be roughly the same feeling, but then just sail around and soft stuff will happen.
With
Yeah,
the
but the
Switch,
flying is really good though. The flying feels
The,
really
the
good.
flying is really good. Yeah, but I'm done with flying for a little bit. So I'm gonna take my sailing and like it.
Does the Switch take
Okay.
advantage? Because the Switch controllers
The
have
gyro?
gyro. in.
No, fuck. Oh, I hate. Oh, no.
Okay,
No,
I'm just curious. I'm just curious.
No.
No gyro. Okay.
No.
All right.
Next
What do we got
question.
next?
There's not many questions.
It does do 60 FPS mostly, not as stable as Xbox, but 60
Oh, wow.
FPS handheld on the Switch. Yeah,
Nice.
pretty proud of
Okay.
that.
Oh wow. One question arrived an hour ago, so when we started the podcast. Okay, Dio game. This question is for the prodigious assortment. Last year, the Falconeer helped keep things fresh at the launch when Halo was delayed. Flash forward to today, and now Horizon has been allegedly delayed to 2022. Not that many people were expecting it this year. Now it seems Sony is in the position Microsoft was in last year. It goes to show how volatile the world is right now. That leads me to this question. Do you think Horizon's delay will have any impact on sales or mindshare of the PS5? I remember last year when Halo was delayed and I was pretty unchuffed, but I had a great time with the Series X and they flew off the shelves anyway. Do you think there's anything Sony could do to keep people content right now? Maybe give some more games like Xbox did, or put more marketing muscle behind upcoming indies like Kenna and Solar Ash? Right now, people are buying these consoles just to buy them. Like
Yeah.
they're buying them literally just to have them because they're the new thing. Like
Yeah.
I don't think
I don't think it'll
Sony
make a
having no
difference.
games. It won't make a difference. Here, fun fact: the last few years, Sony's only had a small number of games each year, and it hasn't affected them.
Yeah.
So why would it affect them now?
Yeah, I think you know, regardless of the whole rhetoric of exclusives matter, and you know they do to a degree because it's the job of first party to innovate and show off the most, right? The majority of gamers play third party games. Big surprise.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I don't think there's going to be a scenario where Sony stops selling. You know, they'll sell every console they make this year, like 110%. There is a question to be asked of what does the delay of that big game mean for Microsoft's general appearance in the market, which has been trending upwards since launch, right? They're doing very, very well with Game Pass and everything else. There's a lot of consumer love behind that because it's great value for money, right? That's what it is. And Microsoft do get to have the big AAA releases this year, but all that will mean is that Microsoft will also sell every Xbox they make this year. I don't think you're going to see some huge shift in the market in the next 4 to 6 months. You know, over the next couple of years, I'm intrigued to see what happens because, you know, we're going to be living in a world where, you know, the new Samsung TVs will just have an app, or the Fire Stick will just have an app, and you just Bluetooth your pad and you can play whatever. You don't even need the box. That's an interesting world, and that's where things change a little bit. But man, what does it matter? I don't think they'll make more noise out of indie releases on PlayStation if there's nothing to plug the gap. They will, of course, they will. But
what do you mean? They've got the Falconeer.
Exactly, it's the biggest indie release of this year, right?
Yeah, they've got the Falconeer. Microsoft had the Falconeer last year, and now Sony's got the Falconeer this year.
Yeah, enjoy.
Well, I think all console gamers are getting a little PC converted in how they're being treated. Where it's basically the same game on all your consoles: PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X. It's just better devices that run it for your more high-end TVs with more bells and whistles. It's an upgraded version. That started when they started to introduce PS4 Pro and
One X.
Xbox One X, saying, well, you'll get the same experience but slightly better. So it's in that sense, this might be the last console generation that had that generational we expect exclusive and launch games and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas everything. I opened up the news and it was PlayStation 5 brings out an SSD onboard extension. Okay, so we're already there, man. Soon you'll be upgrading the GPU and it's still. And then you're in fucking PC there, and it doesn't really matter because it's just another version of the same game. You can play the Falconeer. You can go on fucking Luna and play the Falconeer streaming. You go on xCloud, play the Falconeer. You can PlayStation. You can play on fucking whatever platform. You can play the same game. That is essentially not a step back. That is a step towards having a very convenient way where you play the game. And I think the brand difference between Xbox and PlayStation will be about these are our peers, these are their IPs. Those are their tentpole games. These are our tentpole games, and they have a nice different curation of what they like.
Yeah.
The types of games there'll be a feel to Xbox and a feel to PlayStation because those are different brands.
I did see the whole. I saw Tom Warren's tweet making a bit of mockery out of the SSD expansion.
Yeah, I know.
For PlayStation 5 because you got to pull the panel off and undo a couple of screws and whack an SSD.
It's a full. It's like a full-on installation.
You have to, if you don't research it, you have to have the heat sink for the SSD to keep it cool.
They recommend a heat sink. It's a very tight.
Yeah, it's basically your PC, man. It's an
interesting
all Switch Day.
The console warriors loved it. Obviously, there was plenty of memes going around.
And it's everything. Fuck the console warriors, man.
I've actually always liked how Sony allowed us to install
whatever you want,
an internal.
As long as it was in spec.
I bought a 320 gig PS3, put a 1 terabyte in there. My PS4, I had put a 1 terabyte in there. I like because I don't like stuff sticking out of my console if I can avoid it.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I prefer to be able to install. Having said that, the card that Microsoft makes or Seagate makes is quite convenient.
Yeah,
it's just
I've got
little tiny card.
It's awesome.
Plugs in, just unplugs. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Especially for landline.
Basically, it's just rehashing of it's got external batteries. It's a different fucking strategy and a different approach to solving a problem. And those differences appeal to some and not to others.
Yeah,
almost like the memory card that came with the 360.
Yeah, God, you remember that?
That you could get for the 360. You remember those memory cards? Almost like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep. Very true.
But yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Next question. Don Cabeza. Hello, world famous reviewer here. After this year plus dealing with the pandemic, what is the first place you would or did fly in Microsoft Flight Simulator? For me, it was going back to where I grew up, following the highway and visiting all my friends and family that I haven't seen in a decade plus since moving. Love the game and can't wait to see what new stuff is that's coming. P.S. John's mic is too low.
I don't think my mic's too low this week. Everything's on max. Where did I fly first on console?
Well, Thomas said he went and saw his house, but it wasn't.
I went and saw my house, yeah.
Yes.
And then I went to Wadi Rum in Jordan.
Nice.
Which is because it's a beautiful place. I'd love to visit one. Yeah.
Wow.
I flew to Iceland in my game at night just to see if the Aurora Borealis was reproduced. But
was
funny.
it wasn't at that particular time. So I don't know, because it's obviously based on real world weather simulation.
It's real world weather, yeah.
So I might have to play with some settings to see if I can get that to appear. But
yeah, that's. I'm gonna try that.
Yeah,
It's funny.
I'll play around with it.
I haven't played it yet, but I saw MVG on Twitter flew exactly where I would fly, which is Vegas.
Nice.
I didn't get to go. I didn't get to go to Vegas for my 40th last year, obviously. And I thought if I play Flight Sim, I'll fly over Vegas and just check it out. And then MVG posted a video on Twitter, and he was flying right over the Vegas Strip. He was so low. I'm like, that's
Nice.
So cool. I need to do that.
Yeah, I do something. But actually, I tried some of those new things they have on the upper left of the menu. Some sort of key experiences you can do, sort of Vista flights, and they have a couple of places where they toggle the settings to be really nice. I don't know what it's called. It's in the top left corner if you open Flight Sim. And I tried the Brazil one, and then usually I don't take the default content. Take your fucking showcase. But they set all the clouds nice, and it's a sunset coming up over, Christ the Redeemer on the mountain and shit. And it looked because normally when I fly, I go to the world map and it's just a clear day. Yeah, because that's the default setting. But they make all the dramatic stuff. It really shows off what the Flight Sim can do, which is incredible.
Yeah,
I might need to install. I might need to install.
I think you do. You'll be surprised at how I can
it's
go
just
anywhere.
It's filler gameplay. I've got nothing to do. Okay, let's fly around for an hour. Let's find a place I saw on National Geographic. That isn't the fucking Bigfoot searching shows, and then I'll go there. I've literally flown over Mexico or Guatemala after watching some documentary about Inca Maya ruins. Like, I might discover some ruins. Like people do that on Google Maps. They'll find ruins. But I'll fly. That bit of imagination, that there is a possibility. You somewhere flying around on some. You might see a bit that the satellite saw. Nobody. That is mind-blowingly insane.
Yep, it's true. It's
cool.
one of those games. It is a magical piece of technology.
Magic.
Games. It's just very, very clever.
Yeah.
Okay. Second last question. Sukerbrew. Now, I'm wondering if we actually kind of already spoke about this.
We kind of did.
Yeah. Hi, panel. A question for Thomas. The Falconeer was the launch game for the Xbox Series X and S. Did that bring any extra pressure, and how did you feel about that? Being in a spotlight like that could have positive and negative effects. We kind of spoke about it, didn't we?
Yeah, it's not something you can prepare to. I didn't enjoy it that much. I enjoyed meeting all the. I didn't enjoy sitting behind my screen a whole lot. So I hate being crying about COVID because we're done with that. But I think it would be nice if I'd met all those nice people at the Xbox show in Las Vegas instead of streaming it from the same fucking office. There was definitely a lot of pressure, and I think some things you fumble when you say, "Oh, we're gonna be launch title." There's then a time deadline, and I got COVID, a month before that, so. Definitely some things stumbled and that were fixed in a couple of patches, which I probably would have caught if that pressure wasn't on.
Yeah.
We would have gone, shit, I fucked that up. Let's fix it. So in that sense, let's not do that again.
There you go.
Here you go.
Okay. Now. The last question isn't really a question. It's asking if you can ask a question. This jumped in at the last minute. This question came as we started the show. Hello, Thomas, Sika Mechanico, and it says here, Special Ed. It's Nick now. Good old Collingwood. It's good old Collingwood, which I love the name. And we won yesterday. We won underdog win yesterday. We pumped a side that was right near the top. I'm going to waste my Patreon privileges by asking how late a question can be posted if it's going to be answered. That's all.
About now. You just snuck in.
You can, like I said, as we record the show, because the forum as well works in real time, if a question pops up, I'll see it. By the way, congrats to the Matildas for their 4-3 win over Team Great Britain on Friday. Australia. So what? Britain were beating Australia 2-1 in the women's soccer, and then Australia ended up winning 4-3. Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. Holy crap. That's huge. Australia's actually doing pretty well in the Olympics. We're like 5th. We're like above the UK.
It's funny. I record the audio from my desktop to get you guys in, and I've just got a ping message from Rand asking if I want to play or join a party. He probably wants to play some Halo, but I'll either that or he knows I'm recording a podcast right now and is doing it to make that. So if you're listening, dear listener or watcher, and you heard the da-dung, it's Rand messaging me. God bless him.
Okay, that's it. That was the last question.
There you go.
All right.
So you've made it through our 68th episode of our podcast. What episode was it? Was it episode like 17 where we had Thomas on?
Haven't we had Thomas on a couple of times? This is like the third time, isn't it?
I don't know. I also popped by the forums a couple of times on the Discord.
Yeah.
Sometimes people will tag me and I'll come to the Discord. So
I thought we had Thomas on.
Did one or two, but
You know what it is? We did the stream where we played the Falconeer.
Oh yeah. We did a couple of things. Yeah,
so
that was fun.
There was the podcast, and then we did the stream of the game leading up to the launch.
So that was like number 17, and we're now at 69.
So yeah, 68. 68 this episode.
You guys have been busy, man.
Yeah, we've switched things up a bit. It's all gone a bit bonkers, to be honest with you. Like, we're getting invites to go and preview. You know, we got to preview Battlefield 2042 a couple of weeks back.
Okay. Is that G.I. Joe the game, right?
Yeah, right. So we get to we're going up in the world, and it feels nice, right? But you've
worked for it, and the site's looking good. Reviews are looking good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
Well earned.
But it's kind of fun to think back. Like, you gave us a chance when you were just about to make a splash on the Xbox scene, and now look, we're all back together again.
Yeah.
Revealing ancient ways.
These are the developer press relationship they warned us about.
Yeah. Don't trust our next review. It'll be 10s across the board.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure having you back on again, Thomas. As always,
it's been fun.
Love the.
I'm sorry for the swearing for all the Americans.
The Americans will not like it. We'll get some grumblings, but it's fine. We're British and Australian. We're just like, this is swearing's every other word.
That's how we talk. That's how we talk.
It takes a lot of effort for both of us to not swear, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
Swearing is very comfortable. And I read an article, a scientific article, said if it's not proper swearing, your brain doesn't respond with the same way. It's not the proper outlet if you say darn or gosh.
Yeah.
So
that's true. There's some chemical process at play. It's funny now because my kids are old enough, especially my daughter. Like, we're not great at keeping the foul language to a minimum in front of my kids.
Yeah.
And my daughter now, like, if it's hilarious, like, I could walk away. Like this, I'll give you an example, right? Just to finish the podcast. The kids have been up for a couple of hours. They've had breakfast, and they let Dad lay in, and I'm fine with that. They're independent. They were just watching a movie. I come down, I make my coffee. My kid wants to make this shrink art, which is where you do it on this giant pieces of see-through cellophane type stuff. Draw your image, and you put it in the oven, and it goes all hard. And it's kind of cool. You can make like key rings and stuff. And I promised him we'd do it. And I'm going over to behind the dining room table, and I step in a cat pile of spit, vomit, and hair that the cat had done, and that my son knew was there, but had neglected to tell me was hiding behind the table. Right, and my bare foot just went like, and I was like, and I just swore really loudly. I swore under my breath, and then my daughter, just from the other side of the room, she went, "What did you say?" I was like, "Nothing." And then I said, "Nothing. I didn't say anything." She went, "You said fucking sake, didn't you?" She's 4. I'm like, you can't say that word. You're making me a bad parent. But...
my kids are actually great about swearing. They are great about it, because me and my wife swear a lot, but like they are fully aware that they shouldn't be swearing, and they know not to swear. And like I was actually having a conversation with my son about it yesterday, and he because what he does, he's got this thing now. He loves Apple Music, and he's got his iPad, and he just plays music. And now he's learned that you can turn on the the lyrics and read the lyrics. Like my son has started watching subtitles when he watches Bluey and stuff like that, and it's helping him learn to read better. Like his reading has come along in leaps and bounds because of the subtitles. He's 5. And
okay, before we get into the parenting fast of this podcast,
and his readings come along in leaps and bounds because of the subtitles that he turns on now. It's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But anyway, look.
What were you going to say, Thomas? No, Thomas was going to say something.
No. I have 3 kids. I recognize that. I had my 2-year. I had something and a discussion with my partner. She said some sort of argument with someone else. She said, "Fuck yeah, you're not going to do that." And then I heard some 2-year-old tiny voice go, "Fuck yeah." In the background.
No.
I went, maybe we should stop swearing.
The best bit is when your kids use it in the right context. Like my little boy stubbed his toe, and I heard him, for fuck's sake. And I'm just like...
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Like, you shouldn't say that, but he was on his own. He didn't think he was being listened to, and he'd stubbed his toe, so I let it slide. But I was like... I was amused internally.
Well, mine watches Apple Music, right? And he listens to the music, and now he's turned on the lyrics. And a lot of the songs he listens to, they're the explicit versions for whatever reason. He gets a hold of the explicit versions. And now he says it. He's like, "Oh, Baba, look, the E is there. So there's going to be F words in there." And then the lyrics come up, and he sees it, and he's like, "Baba, come and look." He's like... The F words there. I'm like, "Yeah, buddy, you don't say that. It's fine. That's in the song, but you don't say that." And like, he did the same thing a few years back, like yours, John. He was watching football, our football, Australian rules football. I don't even think he could understand it. I think he was like 3 or 4 at the time. Something happened, or he was watching. He might have been watching proper football, soccer, and something happened on screen, and all of a sudden I heard him go, "Oh, fucking hell." And I'm like, man, he used that in the exact right context watching the game.
Kids, they're learning fast.
Kids, they grow up so fast.
Classics.
Anyway, right. Well, look, I'm conscious if it's 20-1 for me, it's 20-2 for Thomas. So,
I offered for him to start earlier. I did offer. I said we can start.
I checked my odds, but they're getting smaller and smaller because it's important.
We'll let you go. We'll let you go. So thank you very much for coming on.
I have a sleep tomorrow.
I hope the launch for the Falconeer on Switch and PS platforms goes well, and that you make oodles and oodles of cashola. Fingers crossed.
I'm praying for that.
Yeah. So if you're for some reason
Daddy
listening
needs
to this,
a Cybertruck.
you need a Cybertruck. But yeah, so we'll catch you guys all next time. We'll be back next week with a live show. I don't think we got a guest next week.
Not that I know of.
There you go. So at a minimum, it'll be me and Nick, but we'll see. We might drag in another Xboxera staff member. We'll let you know.
We might.
But we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay tuned to Xboxera. Bye, everyone.
Ciao for now.